Hey guys, this is Andrew and Jenna. We're doing a review for Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, it's the new film by Tim Burton. It's a 36-year-old sequel to the 1988 comedy movie. I love watching this movie as a kid. I don't think you ever saw Beetlejuice, did you?
No, I never saw that.
And you started watching it, you said you didn't like it, right?
No, I didn't say that. I don't know, I do want to watch it though. Then after seeing the new Beetlejuice, I wanted to watch the original.
Did you like this one?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought for what they were trying to get out of it, the kind of movie they wanted to make, it was perfect.
What type of movie do you think it was?
It obviously wasn't a very serious movie. It was a comedic, lighthearted, like a little spooky-ish
It was
movie.
Spooky, like more an atmosphere than actually being
Exactly.
And that's Tim Burton. I think this is a really great return to form for Tim Burton, who I feel like many people grew up with his movies. He has a very distinct style. He pretty much popularized the goth genre in Hollywood with movies like Batman from 1989. That movie's amazing, and it's one of my favorite childhood movies. As a movie itself, I remember reading Roger Ebert's review where he kind of said it was an okay movie. I obviously have a lot of nostalgic lens on for that movie because I grew up with it, and really it does a good job of kind of transplanting the really dark Batman comics and just the comic book feel of Gotham City. It's so gothic, and his style is just great for that. And he brought Beetlejuice is such an original, weird idea about ghosts, and it's kind of a comedy movie, and he did a great job with that. And he hasn't been making movies like that since. He's been making all these remakes. He made an Alice in Wonderland movie back in 2010, which I saw. Then he made Dumbo. He made Miss Peregrine's Home for Children. He did Big Eyes, and he did Frankenweenie, which was an adaptation of one of his short films. But I feel like he really hasn't been, like, as a director, pumping out movies that are, like, distinct.
No, definitely not. Doesn't he have, like, a distinct, like, feature, like the hollowed out cheekbones for a lot of the main characters, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of his animated film, like, Corpse Bride.
Yeah,
That's like,
but even Jenna, and, like, this movie,
Jenna Ortega?
Yeah. She has, like, the cheekbones, too.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega. She has the Tim Burton aesthetic. He worked on Wednesday,
exactly.
So that's kind of where they started working
she
together.
fits his aesthetic perfectly. Also, isn't he, like not married or with the main woman in the movie, too?
Yeah, he was actually with Helena Bonham Carter for a while, and she appeared in all of his movies, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I thought they still were together.
She was in many of his projects. Oh, they're not together. He's with Monica Bellucci now. She plays Dolores.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about Helena Bonham Carter. Do you not know her?
No.
She's a British actress. She was in Harry Potter. She played Bellatrix Lestrange.
I didn't watch the Harry Potters.
Wow.
I read the books. I read the books. Come on.
Sure. No, he's with Monica Bellucci, who's in this movie as Dolores, the dead wife.
Bro, I said that.
I know. I'm saying, by the way, that plot with her, I will say this, because this kind of sums up Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is very fun. It's a movie that really isn't that consequential.
Said it 3 times.
Oh.
You said it 3 he's here! Okay.
It's like in Ted 2 when he's like, Johnny, we gotta summon Beetlejuice. You don't want that guy running around in here? Beetlejuice. No, what are you doing? But for real, I think this movie is a lot of fun. For what it's doing, it's really doing a great job. It has kind of the basic plot bones there. Basically, they need to bring this cast together. I always think with these movies when they've been doing this a lot recently, whether it's like Terminator, whether it's the new Star Wars movie, or whether it's Marvel or even DC, they're bringing back like the old characters. Jurassic Park did this, and they're doing that with Beetlejuice, and it just feels very desperate, right? But the movie they're actually telling does a good job with that time jump. Like, you need to be able to justify making a sequel 40 years after, and they do a decent job, especially with the new characters. You have Winona Ryder, who plays Lydia Dietz, and she's hosting this ghost show. I think it's Ghost House.
Yeah.
And right away, you get to see Tim Burton's style, because the movie opens with this reality TV show, and you would think many shows, movies, they do this now, they try to modernize it, but this movie really does feel very retro, just from the way he directs the reality TV show to, like, there's this couple sitting there in the studio, and they're this, like, nerdy dressed couple. They look like they're from a campy 90s movie. He's just very campy. I think that's the bottom line with Tim Burton.
I think he's
Campy, but in a very, like, deadpan way. It's a very dry, dark way.
Yeah.
His characters act very over the top.
Yeah.
They act, in some ways, unrealistic. Like, you could say Jenna Ortega, she's perfect because she's just like Winona Ryder was in the original. She keeps to herself. She's has that gothic appeal, but she is very, I feel like there's a bit of this just storybook charm, like the way she bikes around the town. It just feels like something you've seen. It's like a perfect Halloween movie, but it really has his style.
Also, I think they do a good job because, you know, some of the characters from the original or in this new movie, I think they did a really good job with the dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want to say they did a good job. They had to write Jeffrey Jones out of the movie. That guy's actually been in some real trouble. And we kind of, that's been known for years. But they did a good job because also no one really wants to see that guy. He was the principal in Ferris Bueller's too. No one wants to see
him in it.
Yes,
but not having him actually in it.
And they do a great job in that scene with the stop motion animation. I love how he's able to really just combine all his styles here, and it really just is a fun time.
You're right.
I mean, it didn't even need that scene, or it didn't need to be a stop motion scene, but he made that. And just him doing that just adds this extra fun layer to the movie where it's just so...
It takes a while.
And even the flashback scenes, which are in Italian, I think. Remember, it's in black and white. He put such a style into this movie that gives it this... Like where they're explaining the backstory between him and how he and his wife met.
Yes.
Where she was part of a murderous death cult. And remember...
Wait, I have a question. Who is the woman, Monica Bellucci's character? Who was she when she was a human?
She was the leader of a cult. I remember he said something like they met during the Black Plague.
No, but she was already...
scavenging bodies.
Wasn't she already dead?
No, he killed her. Which was a little confusing because she poisoned him, and then he realized he was poisoned and he chopped her up.
That's
why she has all the stitches.
They were both still alive, and then she wanted to kill him for what?
Yeah, she wanted to poison him for her cult. That's all they said. She was part of a death cult.
Oh, but she didn't need him to be dead for something? I thought she needed his heart or something, or like...
Maybe, but they didn't really get into that. I also just realized at the end, too, because the ending is a little rushed, especially with her character. Her character is really just in it because Tim Burton is dating Monica Bellucci, and, like, if you have Monica Bellucci and you can cast her in a movie, you're gonna do it. But it honestly works because the way they present her character, I really love it. They do kind of present her as this menacing presence, the way she just kind of kills everyone and gets in her path, but they do it in obviously a campy fun way. Like literally when she Danny DeVito has a cameo as the janitor, when he turns around and then she sucks his soul out. I love how it's a very obvious practical effect, like his body shrinks. You said like a Capri Sun.
Capri Sun, yeah.
It was just so cool to watch though, because so many movies rely on the very obvious computer generated imagery, and yeah, it can be done well, but so many times you see someone die in a movie and you go like, oh, that was obviously like fake. But in this, obviously, even though it's fake, there's this cool old way they do it where they like shrink it like a plastic, and it just had this, it just felt fun to me. It added this extra layer, and the whole movie's like that.
I like the texture added to it.
Even when she's like walking in the hallway, when she's looking at people she's gonna suck their souls, they're like pulling her on a dolly, and it's not like the background's moving, like she's just kind of still. And I just love the old ways of filming. Like Spike Lee did that. But back to the plot, it's really well put together, and like you were saying with how they wrote Jeffrey Jones' character out of the movie. Yeah.
Fight the power.
But yeah, like they wrote him out of the movie, they did a good job bringing the new characters in. Like, the whole reason this happens is because they have to go to his funeral. And even with that, there's this good Tim Burton humor, like how his grave is a shark fin because he got attacked by sharks. And even Catherine O'Hara's character...
I thought that was stupid.
Well, it kind of, I think, fits the tone of the movie. But even Catherine O'Hara's character telling her daughter, Lydia, that your father left me, and she goes, oh, you got a divorce? And she goes, oh, like, no, she's dead. He's dead. Like, there's just this dark humor to it. And it's always throughout the movie. And I also just love Tim Burton's kind of color palette. He doesn't oversaturate anything. It's not really bright. And it's still fun.
Also, never mind. That's a spoiler.
What? You could say it. We've already been spoiling stuff.
Are you sure? Okay. Yeah. The boy. I love that twist where he was actually dead, and everyone in his parents were dead too.
Yeah, it has a pretty fun plot. Like, when I'm looking back, it's really nothing too huge, but it's the same as the first movie. It's a good time at the movies. It's really well put together. So, like, it's a sequel as well. So, as a sequel, it's really adding. You have a lot of great characters. You have Willem Dafoe. By the way, I love Willem Dafoe in this movie. He was a dead police detective, and you really don't even need, like, these storylines, but it's a movie that isn't trying to be so consequential, and I think it has the most important thing a movie should have, like a really good heart. You know, like with Jenna Ortega, the whole plot stems from this family's kind of broken up. right? The mom's kind of estranged from the daughter.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten over the father's death. But through the movie and through all these wacky hijinks and just fun Tim Burton, just great Tim Burton stuff, you do get this story that I even think, like, and I was, telling you some of the practicals, like, how come the dad's, like, there when they're in the afterlife?
I was
like,
just about to say that. That's annoying.
But at the same time, it kind of just, like, it flows with the movie, which is already dealing with so much crazy stuff, that when they're in the afterlife and they meet and you get this good emotional arc that just like seals the deal with it being an entertaining movie.
Why did the mom have to die too? I think that was stupid.
I think it honestly also makes Catherine O'Hara not have to appear in the third movie if they do make one. I wish she'd be in it. I think she was great. But I do think also the death scene, it fits with the movie. I think the way
she died was very fitting for her character.
Yeah, with the snakes.
Yeah, the non-venomous venomous snakes.
She's a great actress, and she's been in so many projects. Everyone loves her in Schitt's Creek now. And they definitely...
Oh!
You just realized that's her, right? Yeah. You gotta... Yeah.
Shut up.
No, but she really had an opportunity, and they really used that to, like, make her character great. They made her this, like, art influencer who's super weird. Like, she can always play great weird characters. She can play any character. Really, just seeing her, though, like even the thing, like you were saying, like, when she dies, I like that. I thought it was funny, and it's fitting. And they even play into that, like, when they're in the afterlife and they're talking, and she's like, "You're dead too," they're just joking. Mm-hmm. It just, like,
and
deals
then
with that.
they find each other.
Yeah, her and her husband.
Yeah.
Who has his head bit off by a shark. It's really, like, well put together. And yeah, it has a heart. And like I'm trying to say about, this movie doesn't seem that consequential. Like, with all the different plot threads. Like, Willem Dafoe really didn't need to be in this movie. Remember, he was, like, the police detective? But it works so well. Yeah. And it's so funny. And it adds this total other just goofy angle that just kind of fits with Tim Burton's style. Like, it doesn't need to be this deep plot. And it's already just a great film on its own by being this kind of handmade, beautiful looking movie. Uh-huh. And it satisfies people who wanted to see the original film. Michael Keaton is great as Beetlejuice. He's still funny. He's still this, like, just great. I don't even want to say anti-hero. Like, I don't know what Beetlejuice is. He's just, like, crazy. You, like, love him, but he's
Beetlejuice,
right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not really. He's, like, the antagonist, but he's, like, the star of the movie. Yeah, and he's funny.
All around good guy.
I mean, I root for him though. I did love.
He's a good character, is what I mean, all around, like a good.
Michael Keaton said he looked at him like an it. He was like, I didn't look at him like a he or a she or a. He's like Beetlejuice is like a force of nature, basically. Like, you can't really define him. He's like a ghost, but.
He's not a he.
I think he is, honestly. I think he was just more saying that, like, Beetlejuice as a character is just so. Just, I don't know, like a force of nature. Michael Keaton said something exactly on it, but I thought he was so good in this movie, and I really just thought, for being a sequel, it really did everything right.
Fight the power.
Yeah. And I love Bob, the character of Bob. And they do a great job in the end credits with acknowledging Bob.
Yeah,
remember? Because Bob died.
Oh, Bob.
So, if you're going to make a sequel, you have to do several things. And this is why Beetlejuice is a success.
Did everything correct.
It has a heart. It connects the new cast with the old cast. This is something Star Wars kind of fucked up, because Star Wars, there was no, like, genuine connection. Here, you have the daughter of one of the characters. You have a reason for her to reunite with her mom. You have the father who was killed off screen, but they still managed to make that work, because it isn't really about, like, particularly the father's relationship. It's Astrid and Lydia, the mom and daughter. And Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega get to bond on screen together, and you believe that connection. And it's funny, I've been reading all this stuff about, like, Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega bonding because, like, they're both cinephiles, and they both, grew up in... People who love movies. They both, like, grew up in movies, so they both have this connection. And obviously, like, Jenna Ortega is how Winona Ryder was, like, in the 90s, like, the huge star. So they probably bond over that. But there's just this very believable connection in the movie, which is important. And I feel like a lot of legacy sequels, like the new Halloween movie, whatever, the new, like, even Scream, the first remake, the Scream 5 or whatever. I don't know, you just have to, like, believe the connections, you know what I mean? I thought Scream 5 was fun. I don't know why I'm ripping on it, but it's important to have characters you believe in. Second, just the style of the movie, it makes it worth coming back. It doesn't look worse. A lot of sequels might look worse or, put less effort in. But here they're putting in a lot of effort in an age where movies kind of just go really lazy. Like, look at
Yes.
Megalopolis. That shit.
No,
they probably
it's
cost the
not.
same.
It's
But
not.
think about it. They probably cost the same amount of money, and it looks so much worse than Megalopolis, even with the backgrounds being obviously. Even with Beetlejuice, some stuff is obviously fake. The stuff they do for real, it just looks good. It has this very just believability to it, and I love that. This believable aesthetic.
Believability.
I know, but
Fight
it does
the
for
power.
the genre that we're dealing with. I really liked it, and I think that it's a good movie that is possibly going to get a third film, which would it be called Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice?
Maybe.
It's a possibility, and yeah, there are some loose plot threads. Like, we can admit that they do have this whole Monica Bellucci thing, which isn't even loose. They do conclude that, but it does feel unnecessary. But in a movie like this, it's easier to get away with it because of the tone of the movie, which is very, like I was saying, very loose. Tim Burton is playing. There is a heart here, but it's very slapstick. There's a lot of comedy. It's very spooky. It's very pun based, and like Beetlejuice has a lot of gags. It's all for jokes. So for this kind of plot about him trying to kill like his ex-wife, or them just having this like toxic relationship, even dead, where he's like, I killed her, she's gonna be pissed. Like, it just adds this kind of. It doesn't have to be this huge thing where she's like, you know, like threatening them, or like, it just kind of works as being this gag that at the end of the day, I'm not pissed that's like all that happened to her. I thought it's funny. Like, I like this kind of subplot. And then the stuff actually with Jenna Ortega and that boy ended up feeling like more of the like, oh, this is pretty bad. Like, you actually feel for her when she's like, she gonna get stuck in that, like, you know, trapped in the afterlife. Is she actually gonna like trade her soul? And then it was such a relief when you see Beetlejuice is like behind the train and he like sends him to hell. Like, that is a great moment. And the movie really like earned that because it has these multiple things going on. Like, you can just have this silly, almost like fun, like, but obviously we don't have to take it seriously, subplot with the wife, and then you can actually believe and like get emotionally involved with like the Jenna Ortega subplot, and then you have that reveal like where the parents are dead, and it just adds this like kind of spooky layer where you're like, oh, this actually does have like tension and stakes, and then there's a reason to bring Beetlejuice in, and at the same time, I just like how you have him in the beginning just running around like the office like with the shrink, like Bob, all the Bobs. It's just like adds for a good time at the movies. Basically, moral of the story, you don't have to take your movie so seriously as long as you're putting in all the effort to make a good film. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have a really deep plot. It could just have a heart to it. Exactly. Make your characters care about each other. If you have a legacy sequel, make the new cast kind of connect with the old cast. Don't make it forced.
Definitely.
And just make an entertaining movie. And Beetlejuice is really good. And honestly, there might be a sequel. Catherine O'Hara might not be in it. That's why I think they wrote her out. Maybe she'll appear as a, you know, ghost because she's dead, but they could still have her. She could honestly be in it. Like, there's basically anything's on the table in this universe. So any final thoughts?
I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but Beetlejuice.
And I just realized that Justin Theroux's character, he's the one who plays her husband, the guy who's like a dick who's using her. I didn't realize he died in the movie. Like, he got sucked up by the sandworm, but it's so unclear to me because it was mostly Dolores. But like, obviously they were both still villains. It's not like
I remember that.
You hate both of them. I remember he puts a shirt on him that says "I heart Dolores." Beetlejuice, when he's like trying to get the sandworm after them. I just didn't realize that. It really did feel rushed, but I mean, I really don't want. I can't really complain. I had such a fun time with it, especially like that end dance sequence where they're all dancing around the cake, the wedding cake. That's a good tribute to the first one. They haven't seen like that, but. It's a lot of fun. Tim Burton, like, when you put your own vision out there, it could be a fun movie. It's not good if it's something that's, you know, trying to like appeal to like, you know, just like a generic checklist. Like, it has that checklist, but like its own version of it, and it just kind of like, it was great. So yeah, really like Beetlejuice. So happy to see it in the theater. We saw this in 4D. The theater itself was not that great. It was not the Times Square one. Times Square one's amazing. You should always check that one out. But it was still a great time and worth seeing. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Watch Beetlejuice.
Bye.
Take it easy.